Do you like playing with balls? No, I'm not talking about footballs. I mean your balls. Our friends at Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming, want you to shave your pubes with the Tom Brady of ball trimmers, the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Only the GOAT technology for the greatest balls of all time. When you're going towards the end zone, make sure you use the right tools for the job and choose Manscaped. 2 million men worldwide trust them, so join the movement with our exclusive offer by using code DTR at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping.
Stafford under pressure, gonna tuck it, and he's in! Darrell Henderson, he's off and running! Has Woods, touchdown! Cooper Kupp just went up and took it away.
Van Jefferson for the touchdown.
Aaron Donald smothers him. Jalen Ramsey with the pop-up. Sacked by Leonard Floyd, having a day again.
Darius Williams with a diving hit. Jordan Fuller comes up with his second interception of the night.
All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen. And guys, with the NFL season here, you need a sports book with integrity and longevity like BetUS. You may already know this, but BetUS have been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That is BETUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses. Join now or call 800-69-BET-US. That is 800-MY-BET-US. You receive a 125% sign-up bonus by using bonus code RAMS125. They've re-up and referral bonuses also. BetUS is known as America's favorite sportsbook for a lot of reasons. BetUS has all your NFL games with team and player props and loads of futures. You can bet UFC matches, props, PGA golf, round matchups, and live betting on most sports as well. The online casino has hundreds of games, and the racebook has all your horse tracks. They have every bet type imaginable, and the sharp BetUS mobile platform is easy with full betting options. Follow my lead and get your phone, online, and social sports betting partner with integrity and longevity like I did. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS. So, Jake, we are coming to everyone the night before the Rams take on the Seahawks in Seattle for Thursday Night Football. Very exciting. It's a primetime game, obviously, but it's also against a division rival, and it's also on the road at a very, quote-unquote, I should say, tough stadium to be on the road at in Seattle. It's very loud. It definitely has a lot of home field advantage, people say. But Jake, this is very exciting. And this is also a little bit nerve-wracking because we just played a couple of days ago against one of our division rivals, the Arizona Cardinals, and had a really bad loss that I'm sure most of us have not forgotten yet, unfortunately. And we only have a couple of days to recover from that and take on the Seahawks. So I'll let you go first. You know, what to you do you think the Rams need to focus on most before this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're dealing with this type of game, it's a huge one, right? You know, you really margin for error is very thin. Both teams know each other very well. I think, you know, the Rams, in order to win this game, the Rams need to make sure they play their style of football. You know, going back to the first week against the Bears, this is a team that wanted to air it out with Matthew Stafford. They didn't want to run it as much. This is not a team where you really need to run the football. Because this is the worst secondary in all of football right now. So I think, you know, the Rams, if they want to go pass happy, they should do that. I'll say this, if they want to run the ball, they can. Seattle's defense hasn't been very good. And, you know, for me, the Rams defense, you know, against Russell Wilson, you know, I think they'll be able to, you know, contain him, you know, as long as they play the way they normally do against him. But we will see. I think the best way to go about this, though, is just air it out, really put that secondary in a tough position. And then, you know, the defense obviously has to, you know, do something on the other end to combat that. But I do expect the Rams to win this game. We'll get into that prediction down the road. But yeah, that's how I would approach this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Seattle's defense. I mean, they obviously have some players in their defense, you know, Jamal Adams, Bobby Wagner, Poona Ford, LJ Collier, that are, you know, they're okay. And, you know, I would say they're pretty good players. But I just think that going against the Rams offense, they're going to have a really hard time. So let's talk about that first, because you kind of touched on this a little bit. You touched on the Rams running the football. I agree. I think that the Rams should run the football against the Seahawks. I think, Henderson is healthy. Sony Michel is healthy. I think we should use a lot of them. I think we should learn our lesson from Sunday and actually run the ball, because when we run the ball, good things happen. However, I don't think it's going to be like Sunday in the sense that Seattle's secondary is as tough, in my opinion, as Arizona's was. I think Arizona did a really good job of confusing our offense and making it hard for Stafford to move the ball around. I don't foresee Seattle doing that. I think it's going to be a lot easier for us to pass against them. And I'm sure that that's something that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are going to want to do. So I think that we can, honestly, against this defense, I think we should do, equal part passing game, equal part run game, and, see what works, obviously. But I think that both are going to work pretty well. I just think, I don't want to bring up Sunday more than I have to. But in the game against the Cardinals, I felt like we didn't run the ball nearly as much as we needed to. And I'm really hoping that changes against the Seahawks, because I think it could work, and I think it could be really beneficial to our offense.
No, I agree with you. I think going a balanced approach would definitely make a lot of sense, for sure. Now, here's what I want to bring up is that there's a chance Chris Carson's not going to play for Seattle. Chris Carson really hasn't been utilized the way he should be this year, but that's a significant loss if so. And look, Alex Collins played a pretty good game last week against the 49ers, but I don't think the Rams are worried about Alex Collins. They've actually done a really good job stopping the run up until the Arizona game. What do you make of the loss if Chris Carson does not play? Is that significant enough to take Seattle completely out of this game?
Well, I think it's not enough to rule them out of the game, because they have Russell Wilson, who is obviously a very good quarterback. He's very mobile, and he makes a lot of big plays happen a lot of the time. They also have DK Metcalf, who is a big threat, Tyler Lockett as well. Gerald Everett has been out with COVID, but he is expected as of now to play tomorrow. So he's someone who we're very familiar with, obviously. And he has been kind of a new favorite weapon for Russell Wilson. So I expect him to be used a lot. So I think they've got a lot of guys that are going to be at their disposal if Chris Carson doesn't play. However, it is good news for us in the sense that, you mentioned Alex Collins is the backup for Seattle, and he is not, in my opinion, anywhere close to Chris Carson. And for the Rams, we struggled with the run game a lot this season, and I think this is going to be really helpful for us if Chris Carson is out. So we'll see how that goes. It's certainly something to watch. Obviously, the Rams, I'm sure, won't be too sad if he's not playing, because I think that he will, in a sense, if he's playing, he could cause some problems for a defensive line. But yeah, I'd say he's definitely probably a good weapon for the Seahawks. I think that they probably will be really bummed if he's out, but I wouldn't sleep on their other targets.
Yes. And now, one guy that has already been ruled out is D. Eskridge. For those of you who know Dwayne Eskridge, I think you and I both liked him during the draft. And there was a rumor going on the Rams passed on him, or the Rams picked Tutu Atwell because he got the pick before him. How significant do you think of a loss that is? Now, this guy, keep in mind, he hasn't played, going back to, I think, week 1. That this is Shane Waldron. This is the Rams offense light, I would say. They're not quite the Rams offense yet. But with that said, it does rule out that kind of jet motion type of, wild card player that you did have in Eskridge. And you didn't have him last week, of course. But against the Rams, I do really think the Seahawks are going to have to pull out all the stops. So do you think that, anybody can step up in his steed as far as him being gone, potentially Chris Carson? Because I look at, obviously, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Freddie Swain as the next 3 available receivers. They're pretty depth-filled at tight end with Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, and then, of course, if Gerald Everett does indeed play, you have 3 tight ends there. Who do you see being the beneficiary for a guy like Eskridge being out?
Well, I think that with Eskridge out, you're probably going to see Freddie Swain get a lot more catches than he normally does. I think obviously DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are the two main receivers in Seattle. Obviously very talented receivers and favorite targets of Russell Wilson for a reason. But I think Freddie Swain is probably going to be open a lot, and he's going to have a really big opportunity this game with Eskridge out. So it's definitely something, to look out for. But Jake, we kind of talked about how the Rams offense is going to, or how we think at least they should attack Seattle's defense. But I'm just curious, if you're Russell Wilson going against the Rams defense, what are you doing? Are you, targeting our secondary? Are you running the ball yourself? Because remember, their run game, most likely, if Chris Carson's out, is going to have to be pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, great question. I'm going right after, as long as he's on the field, I'm going right after David Long. And I'm going after Taylor Rapp, of course, in coverage, because that's not his best. That's not a strong suit. So my goal would be to isolate Taylor Rapp on a receiver, make sure they can kind of get, you have those, when you're having like sort of motion and everything, and you're trying to confuse the defense, the goal is to kind of break up, if they're playing in zone, you break up their zone, you get Rapp, isolated on, kind of this similar thing that, Jordan was talking about on our show, and we've seen the Tampa Bay game, that one play where Godwin got the first down because Taylor Rapp was isolated on him because the whole play broke down. That's what you're trying to do for Russell Wilson. Now keep this in mind. The Rams are going to have to make adjustments because that defense last week is not going to cut it. And it's not just the way they execute the plays. I just don't think that game plan works against that type of quarterback. It works against Tom Brady. See, you can hit Tom Brady and you can win. If you hit Russell Wilson, he can obviously break the contact. He can break tackles and he can extend the play just like Kyler Murray did and just like Wentz almost did. Keep this in mind. The two games that weren't close were two guys that were easy to be hit in the pocket. Andy Dalton and Tom Brady. But the two games that were close and one in which they lost, those were two mobile quarterbacks, because mobility can really be a danger in any sort of scheme. Being able to, keep the play alive, keep your eyes downfield and, improvise. And I think that's something, if the Rams play it like they did against Kyler and, they play it against Kyler and they do that against Russell Wilson, they're going to be in some trouble, I think. And, obviously I think this offense is going to have no issue scoring all over this defense, but it could end up being a shootout instead of a game that they win, not handedly or comfortably, but a game that they win, obviously I don't think it's going to come down to the wire, but if they really do struggle and they have the same game plan as last week and they don't make those adjustments, then I do think it's going to be whoever has the ball last wins this game.
Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up on their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS, that is BETUS.com, or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code RAMS125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry, BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. That has just taken off in not only the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system in. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even Uranus. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Thanks to our advanced skin-safe technology, the Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor and a new multifunction on and off switch that can engage a travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up the top of your nose and your ears. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Don't forget about the crop preserver, ball deodorant, and the crop reviver to help your little planets be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls, Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be something to look out for, like you said. And, I just think anytime the Rams and the Seahawks play, it's just, there's just something about it. Obviously, anytime you play a division rival, things are intense and everything is a little extreme. But I think that the Rams and the Seahawks, particularly, at least among the fan base, have kind of like this extra rivalry. So I think it is going to be an intense game. I think the Rams obviously know that. The Seahawks obviously know that. This particular game happens to be prime time, which means, pretty much most football fans will be watching. And it's really interesting. I just think, for me, I really want to see the Rams bounce back after Sunday. Obviously we had a poor game on Sunday against a division rival. Really don't want to repeat that this week. Something that I found interesting, and I might have been interpreting this wrong, but it sounds like the Rams didn't practice this week. I know they have a short week, but it sounds like their game plan was actually to not practice at all and just watch film.
Well, they did practice. It just, they took things lighter. And I think the thing is, when you're playing a shorter week, you have to be careful that you don't overdo it because, the body gets used to, okay, we play every Sunday. And then all of a sudden you play Thursday and it's a little bit of a different preparation. It's not too different, though. And Andrew Whitworth actually said that there is some, I guess the way he put it is that there's some sort of competitive advantage because they ramp up practices during the end of the week. So, I guess he kind of feels like, okay, well, we're used to ramping up our bodies for Thursday and Friday anyway. This isn't that big of a deal. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think the team that is playing on Thursday night at home is in a huge advantage because they don't have to actually travel. They don't lose that day, so to speak. But one thing I'll say is that, if you thought the defense was out of, discombobulated and completely out of, control last week, I will say, the Thursday night games are never really pretty, and I do think it's hard to put a game plan in there and, do all of that in just a short amount of time. It is a hard thing to do. And so I do think that, the quality of play does suffer. I mean, we ourselves as consumers of this sport, watching this game and everything, like we'll enjoy it obviously, and we'll enjoy every Thursday night football game. But you know what I'm saying when I what I mean by that? Like when I say that like Thursday night football, like the product on the field isn't as good as say Monday night or Sunday night.
Yeah, I don't think it is. And I think especially when it comes to gameplay, I just think, short week, especially if you're traveling, you play Sunday, you have basically 2 days to rest, but you're not really resting because you're still preparing for a game. And then they're traveling Wednesday and then they play Thursday. So it is kind of a win-lose. I think it's a win for football fans. We get to watch a game on Thursday. We don't have to wait till Sunday. But at the same time, it is kind of a loss for the players, and it's obviously not easy to do. But yeah, Thursday night football games typically, like you said, can get kind of messy. They're not always the most clean games to watch. But we'll see. I don't care how it goes as long as the Rams win. That is all I care about. And I'm just really going to be pulling for them on Thursday.
Yeah, no, of course. And, I think just some names to watch on both sides. I mean, you have, if Chris Carson plays, he's a name to watch for Seattle. I think, Poona Ford, the defensive tackle for Seattle, is somebody to watch in the interior. Gerald Everett, of course, as long as he suits up. I would have said D. Eskridge, but since he's out, I'd probably say Alex Collins, the way they were using both backs. And then Ryan Neal is a little bit of an X factor here for Seattle. Somebody that can, be their dime backer, fly all over the field, does a really nice job all together as far as, somebody that can work in coverage, but somebody that can come up and make a tackle. So Ryan Neal, I think, is really the true X factor of this game. As far as the Rams side, Henderson, Donald, Higbee, Woods, and Rapp, I think, are the 5 guys to watch. Now, looking at the key matchups, it does look like Darius Williams will likely go up against Tyler Lockett. Williams has had a lot of success against the Seattle Seahawks, going back to even the last time they played in the postseason. So he's definitely somebody to keep in mind. Dwayne Brown, the very stud left tackle who finally got paid by Seattle. He's going up against Terrell Lewis and Obanai Okoronkwo, and we'll see who else. If it's just those two, that's a huge matchup to watch. And then another one is Kyle Fuller and Damian Lewis against Aaron Donald, because, Aaron Donald, as great as he's played, the stat sheet doesn't indicate it. He's been this close to getting a sack. It seems like every single game he's close to having 4 and he gets 0. He is still a half sack away from being the all-time Rams leader in sacks. McVay is 15-5 coming off a loss. The Rams are 2-0 and undefeated against Seattle in the postseason. So that's something to keep in mind. In big games, Sean McVay has come to the plate and he has made something happen. Obviously, the last time they played, the Rams have an all-time losing record to Seattle, 22-25, which I found interesting, but they're 6-2 in the last 8 games they played against Seattle. The Rams are also 7-9 historically in Thursday night football games. So they're looking to somewhat get closer to inching into the 500 range. And the Rams offensive line this year has only allowed a league low of 0.8 sacks per game. Seattle's offensive line has averaged one of the league highs in 2.2 sacks per game. The Rams are the least penalized team in football at 3 a game and have been assessed the fewest penalty yardage per game at 22.75. So, this is a team that's, disciplined. They haven't been penalized much. They have a lot of success this year on their offensive line. It's a different tale this year. This year it is more about the defense. Can the defense make plays? Can the defense stop them? The bend don't break is great until it starts to break, and then all of a sudden it's not great anymore. So we'll see. But the offense obviously didn't have their best game last week, and will need to bounce back in a big way. Now, Alexis, do you have anything to add before we get into predictions and, of course, the final score?
I'm just going to echo the sentiment about the defense, because Aaron Donald loves to sack Russell Wilson. And I think he's hungry. I think, like you said, he's had a couple games where he's been really close to getting some sacks and he just hasn't gotten there. And I think that he's going to be really going for it on Thursday. I think he's ready, and I think that historically he does a pretty good job in Seattle. So, just watch out for him, watch out for other people on the defensive line. I think Russell Wilson's going to be scrambling a lot, or at least that's the hope, if things go according to plan. But yeah, I think our defense really is going to need to step up against Russell Wilson. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and I think that they're going to do it. Again, should everything go according to plan, and should they play the way that we expect them to play, there's really no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that. But as far as stat predictions, I'm going to say Aaron Donald's going to have 2 sacks. I'm really going for it. I really think he's going to get. I think he's going to get it done.
Now, I'll throw a counter to you. I just told you that Russell Wilson gets sacked 2.2 times a game, and now there's only been 4 games, so that'll probably go up. Do the Rams break that 2.2?
Yeah, okay. I'm talking about just I was talking about Aaron Donald personally. I think Russell. Let's say he gets sacked 5 times.
Yeah, I don't see how he stays in Seattle after this year. He is absolutely abused, and he's actually on pace to be the most sacked quarterback in NFL history in 3 years' time.
It's not surprising.
That should tell you all you need to know, because Brett Favre is the leader, and I mean, he played into his 40s. So I'll say Matthew Stafford throws 3 touchdowns. I'll say Darrell Henderson goes over 120 total yards. I do think, I know people have been asking me, hey, what does that fumble mean to you last week about Sony Michel? Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, I think people got way too carried away in thinking that Sony Michel was going to take over Darrell Henderson's role. He was never going to do that. He is a piece. He is another weapon. But if Sony Michel is turning the ball over, he will not be getting carries. So I don't really see him getting much of a run in this game. I don't think they need him. They'll probably try to manage Darrell Henderson's carries, but at the same time, if he gets, say, 15 and the offense can't be stopped through the air, there's not going to be a point to really running the football, because you got Darrell Henderson his carries and you're trying to limit him at 15, and, for the injury, of course. And then, they can't stop you through the air, so there's no point of running it. You might see some Sony Michel and Jake Funk, but I don't see a ton of it. Darrell Henderson goes over 120. And then I have the Rams sacking Russell Wilson 3 times or more. So kind of along the same line that you have. I have Robert Woods leading the Rams in receiving. I think McVay coming out, I already had this before, but McVay coming out and saying that they're going to try to get him more involved. Last time he said that, he was talking about Deshaun Jackson. Jackson had his best game of the season right after he said that. But Woods has always historically done well against Seattle, and he's historically done well in prime time. He pretty much always catches a touchdown in prime time. So this is somebody that, is definitely ready for this moment. I even remember watching the game against, Buffalo, when Buffalo played Seattle, and he came out in a big way, had over 100 yards in that one. Very impressive game from him. So I think he's going to lead the Rams in receiving. And I think the Rams win 33-23 on Thursday Night Football, moving to 4-1 and silencing the season is over, we're not a Super Bowl contender people for a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stick with my prediction from the beginning of the season when I wrote an article predicting all the Rams games for the season. And I have the Rams winning 24-21 in Seattle. I think it's going to be a really close game, as these games in Seattle typically are. I think it's going to be a really good Thursday Night Football game for once. I think that the Rams are going to come out with a win based off obviously a field goal, but I think it's going to be a good game. I really feel it. I feel like the Rams are obviously really wanting to bounce back strong after their game on Sunday, and I think they're going to do it. I think they have a really good opportunity to do it in Seattle. So yeah, that's it, guys. Again, short week. Feels like we just played because we did. Thursday Night Football, prime time. Everyone's going to be watching. Division rival. It really doesn't get better than this. So we're very excited. As always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. And you can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft. And you can follow Jake at JK Bogan. And guys, we'll be back after the game tomorrow night, probably with an episode coming out on Friday, recapping the game. But until then, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.
Bet with the 3-decade leader, BetUS. Join now for 125% bonus or 200% bonus with crypto using promo code RAMS125. And bet sports, casino, horses, pop culture, and more at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DTR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and make sure to use code DTR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.